Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Friday night during the holidays? Hope it's a good one. Hope everybody's buckled in. We got a lot of stuff about the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. I got to tell you, there's weird, bizarre things about this that are just, they never stop. I mean, it kind of just happened and people just, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Aku is trying to say some stuff that's not spoilers, but still add something. Just proceed with caution. Proceed with caution. It's been a busy day. Very, very busy day. Very busy day. So, yeah. We are going to have a members only show tomorrow. We will be playing past audio from the past that you just won't find anywhere else. You simply won't. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. I got just a couple more minutes here to vamp, and then, oh my God. Oh my God. This stuff about this thing, it's pretty. Yeah. Anyway, what's the old saying? Go sit on your hands. No, it has to do with your hat and biological emergency. Really is more what it's about. That's more what it's about. I've been driving all over. I got to drive the Jag today. I got some people across the street that they got kids visiting that are making a lot of noise after it gets dark. There were words. They weren't pleasant. Hungus is here, says evening, Tom and crew. Good evening to Germany or the Netherlands or Belgium or wherever fine yachts are built over there. Thanks for being here, Hungus. Oh man, I still got to vamp for a couple more minutes. I really don't feel like it because there's a lot to cover here. A lot to cover. One thing I can do is check this out right here. And this will be bonus content for those of you who are here early. That's my background. That's Reagan as is exiting the Washington Hilton Hotel, where he had just given a speech. And let's see, no Lucky in Love drive intro. Yes, Scott, you weren't here. I did the whole thing, Scott. Sorry. Can I do something for just a second here, kids? Can I just do something? Because, yeah, you sure did. Hold on a second here. I got to do something. I'm not going to sit and listen to these kids scream and yell. So I'm going to go yell at some kids. Hold on just a second. Hang on for a second. Just a second. I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it. Let's see. That's the 2 point right there. There we go. And we'll just do that. And I'll do this. Just hold. Hi. Let's see here. Primary personal events, whatever it is you can. I don't know what that means, Aku. Yeah, I don't. Just don't know what that means. I simply don't know what that means. My right hand is red. It's because I've got it on the desk. Are we going to start early tonight with the just completely has nothing to do with anything shit? Is that what we're doing? Okay. All right. Like, guys, last night I mentioned it. We're going places. We're going to some places. Some of you may not get to go. Keep that in mind, please. Please keep that in mind. The other hand might be as well, because I'm, here's my mouse, here's the thing, and I'm doing a lot of work here. Yeah, it's amazing. Notice, Aku, I haven't fallen off anything, gotten a concussion, or done any of the burned myself, or any of the other shit you do at work. Oh, you were trying for a funny. Do me a favor, don't try to do that anymore. Please, don't do smart things. You're good at smart things. You're not good at funny things. You're not. And by the way, you're also not good at like shit that no one knows what it means. It's just what is that? It's not helpful. And from now on, it's my fault. I'll do a much better job of ignoring the comments that don't mean a damn thing to anyone in the universe. I thought we covered this when we spoke personally, but it's not improving the writing at all. Talk and write down what you say. That might help. Jesus. Like I said, going some places, not everybody's going to get to go. Just keep that in mind. There's nothing worse than getting all this stuff ready and somebody goes, frog balls! What the fuck does that mean? It's just ridiculous. Let me tell you about the assassination of President Ronald Reagan, or at least the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. It was March 30th, 1981. As I tried to show you behind me, he's walking out, returning to his limousine after a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton Hotel. And that's when John Hinkley Jr. shot him with a revolver. The bullet careened off of the presidential limo that you see actually gone. That's not the limo. The president's limo is out of there. And it struck the president under his left arm, broke his rib, punctured a lung, and the blood started flowing like water. He had major bleeding. And it wasn't just a flesh wound. He was almost dead. He was very close to death when he was rushed to George Washington University Hospital. Research indicates that George Washington himself wasn't present when Reagan arrived, but he was stabilized there in the emergency room. We'll get into a bunch more of that here in a second, but the president had exploratory surgery and subsequently was released from the hospital 12 days later. That's the quick version. But the details are so much weirder. And they started way before this assassination attempt. And they started with a major Fruit Loop named John Hinkley Jr. Now, everybody knows that he had a major fixation on Jodie Foster due to his obsession with the movie Taxi Driver, but it is way creepier than even that. So let's have a look at John Hinkley Jr. You won't believe it. John Warnock, as you can see in this particular photo, Hinkley Jr. Warnock. Because the big story here is Junior. because Dad loved Warnock so much, he gave it to somebody else. Now, he was born in splendor. John Hinkley is the son of a rich guy. He's a rich boy. He's a fancy lad. All right. He grew up in a very, very wealthy part of Dallas, Texas here, called University Park. That's the same place Alex Stein grew up. And he graduated there from Highland Park High School. He was a rich kid, and he did what rich kids do. He hung around college for about 6 years without graduating, off and on and off and on and off and on. Texas Tech. Guns up, Red Raiders. Also during this time, he headed out to Los Angeles to try to become a songwriter. That's right. He thought he was going to be a songwriter. Now, naturally, that didn't work out. So he whined and he begged Mom and Dad for money. And guess what? They have lots and lots and lots of money. And he even invented a girlfriend that did not exist named Lynn Collins. And paraded Lynn Collins out in front of his parents. Eventually, though, he got the "you suck at writing songs" message, and he moved back to his parents' house, now located in Evergreen, Colorado. So this is where our story starts to get really, oh, that makes sense. He began buying a lot of firearms and playing with them, and all while on heavy antidepressants and tranquilizers, which is a really good plan. Now, it was in 1976 that our good friend John Hinkley here started getting major ragers watching the movie Taxi Driver. And he actually has a clinical disorder that's known as erotomania. And that is the sexual arousal created when one person, in this case him, is deluded into thinking that Jodie Foster is infatuated with him, which he actually thought. In fact, when Jodie Foster went to Yale, he read that in a paper or something, Hinkley started stalking her at Yale. And he told his folks he was taking a writing class, which he never signed up for because boners, I guess. They gave him $3,600, and that's like $13,000 in today's wampum. And he basically just moved to New Haven, Connecticut, where Yale is, and sent her love letters and romantic poems, and called her over and over and over again and left messages. Now, he actually did speak to Jodie Foster a couple times because he somehow got this number, and when she answered, he would try and talk to her, and she would just say, "Hey, look, I'm not interested." Didn't think anything of it. Thought this guy's a crackpot, whatever. Well, when he didn't get a response, he did what any normal, well, let's put Jodie Foster up here for a second. He did what any normal person would do. He started thinking about maybe hijacking a plane or doing harm to himself, just to kind of raise his hand and say, "Dig me, hijack a plane." But that didn't seem like it would get the job done. So he decided to try and assassinate the president. But guess what? Ronald Reagan wasn't the president yet. No. So he picked the only president available to him at the time, Jimmy Carter, and followed Jimmy Carter from state to state during the 1980 election. And that's creepy. So he went state to state during the election, and he got to within 20 feet of the old peanut farmer at a Dayton, Ohio rally. So at least President Carter dodged a bullet, so to speak, there. That guy was within 20 feet of him. And Hinkley wouldn't ever bug him again. Of course he'd bug him again. He's in love with Jodie Foster. So in October of 1980, when Carter was in Nashville, Tennessee, Hinkley was arrested at the Nashville airport with some handcuffs and 3 guns in his luggage. And he was turned over to the Nashville police, who took this very, very seriously. They took the guns and the cuffs away from him and fined him $50 and released him that very day. So now, John Hinkley, let's go back to this sad sack. John Hinkley decided to move back home to Dallas. And of course, he took the opportunity to buy 4 more guns from a pawn shop, including the gun that he would eventually use to shoot Reagan. And by the way, all that fat, here's some money to take a writing class at Yale, Jodie Foster stalking money was gone. So he spent 4 months in therapy for depression because not getting Jodie Foster's attention can apparently be depressing. So he also started targeting brand new president Ronald Reagan. Oh, and by the way, read a bunch of books and things about the JFK assassination because that's healthy. That's very healthy. And hey, what goes better with mental stability than this? He traveled around a bunch. I think he went to Hawaii, and finally he gets back into Los Angeles. And he rides a Greyhound bus from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., because that's what'll make you mentally sound, right? Just get on a bus for that. Anyway, he arrived the day before he did the deed, March 29th, and got a good night's sleep. And then he woke up the next morning. He got Ronald Reagan's itinerary that day out of the newspaper, thanks newspaper, and waited outside the Hilton Hotel where Reagan was going to speak to the AFL-CIO, but not before jotting down a quick note to Jodie Foster. And part of that note reads as such: over the past 7 months, I've left you dozens of poems, letters, and love messages in the faint hope that you could develop an interest in me. Although we talked on the phone a couple of times, I never had the nerve to simply approach you and introduce myself. The reason I'm going ahead with this attempt now is because I cannot wait any longer to impress you. Then he lay in wait. You don't often get to say lay in wait, so when you do, you really got to take advantage of it. With several hundred people outside the hotel. And when he saw Ronnie saluting the crowd like that, he emptied his revolver in Reagan's direction. 6 shots in 1.7 seconds. Shot number 1 critically injured Press Secretary James Brady, who would spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair, only partially able to speak. Shot number 2 hit police officer Thomas Delante. Shot number 3 missed everything, but it almost didn't. I'll tell you about that in a second. But shot number 4 hit Timothy McCarthy, Agent Timothy McCarthy, who threw himself in front of Reagan. That's the drill. That's what he signed up for. And he threw himself in front of the president and was shot. Shot number 5 hit the limo's glass. And shot number 6, the very last shot in the revolver, ricocheted off the limousine and hit President Reagan. So this is the actual weapon that was used. This is in the Secret Service Museum, and that is a window that was struck during the assassination attempt. And this is when the ass-kicking of a lifetime befell John Hinkley. I mean, the butt kicking of a lifetime fell upon John Hinkley, rich boy, crazy pants, loser, junior, Al Antonucci. Now remember, the AFL-CIO, not the Teamsters, but the Teamsters, just had a speech given to them by President Reagan. So there's a lot of these union types, labor officials in the area. Al Antonucci, a labor official near Hinkley, saw what had happened and busted him in the head and put him on the ground. Inside just 2 seconds, and they have the footage of all this, by the way. In just 2 seconds, Agent Dennis McCarthy, fearing that Hinkley would be mobbed for his actions, he did not want Hinkley to be treated like Lee Harvey Oswald. He wanted him to be able to stand trial and all that. So he actually jumped on top of him to protect him. And unfortunately for Agent McCarthy, another labor official, Frank McNamara, partnered up with his labor union friend and started punching Hinkley in the head repeatedly and basically beat the crap out of him. And blood everywhere and you name it. Jerry Parr, the special agent in charge, grabbed Reagan the instant shots were fired. The instant those shots. And you can see this. It all happens so quickly in the video. Shoving him into the limousine by his shoulders and then following him in and diving on top of him. That quickness of action. Remember that shot number 3 I told you I was going to tell you about later? Yeah, that went over the limousine. Had he not immediately pushed the president into the limo, he likely saved Reagan from a shot in the head. That's where Reagan was at. Secret Service agent, if you can see him on the left side of this photo here, let me just blow this up. This guy on the far left, see that dude with yeah, that's Secret Service agent Robert Wanko. And he pulled out his Uzi, yeah, and chilled everybody out. Although Agent McCarthy said he had to strike 2 civilians to get them to stop beating the living crap out of Hinkley. Gee, I wonder who those 2 civilians were. Gosh, maybe it was those 2 union officials just beating the tar out of John Hinkley. I love that. I had to strike 2 civilians. We all know who they were. Hinkley's gun, this gun, contained what they call Devastator rounds, Devastator brand rounds. And yeah, those have aluminum and lead charges in them that are supposed to explode on contact. Only one of the shots Hinkley fired actually performed in this fashion, actually exploded on contact. And sadly, it was only Jim Brady's. And yeah, the bullets that were in DeHanty, the cop on the beat there, or was DeHanty, let me see here. Yeah, police officer DeHanty, the cop on the beat that was, he was probably assigned to a presidential detail, but he was a police officer. He wasn't a Secret Service agent. He had a bullet lodged in his neck. The doctors that removed that bullet, and it was like 2 days later, okay? The doctor that removed that bullet, the doctors, excuse me, first of all, they had to volunteer due to the explosive charge that was still in this round. And they had to wear bulletproof vests during that procedure to get the bullet from DeHanty's neck. Now, originally, the Secret Service thought the bullets had missed the president, okay? And you can hear, I would play it for you, but it's not that interesting to listen to, because it's a lot of code words and garbled transmissions and such. But there's 10 minutes of the actual Secret Service communications available on YouTube and all over the place. Wikipedia, it's everywhere. But they thought that the president hadn't been hit at all. And they claimed that Stagecoach, which was the code name for the limousine, was going back to the Crown, which is the code name for the White House, and that Rawhide, that's the code name for Ronald Reagan, was okay. Reagan, though, he was in a lot of pain. And he assumed that he'd cracked a rib while being pushed into the car so quickly and violently, but he was wrong. When looking him over for gunshot, wounds, Agent Parr, he's searching him for, where you hit. Reagan coughed up a whole bunch of very, very bright, coagulated red blood. I mean, a lot of it. And just to show you that the Secret Service guys are not trained physicians, Parr thought this could be a cut lip or a cracked rib that had punctured a lung. And so he diverted everyone instantly. And this is key. This is super, super key. He instantly diverted everyone to George Washington University Hospital. And they got there. You see behind me there, walking out when he's waving? Less than 4 minutes after the end of his speech, not when he's outside waving, but inside at the end of his speech, less than 4 minutes later, they arrive at the hospital. Reagan insisted on walking into the hospital. What a stud. He was smiling at people and acknowledging them that had gathered there, but once he got inside, his knees buckled and he started complaining about lack of breath. Well, guess what? You've been shot. And your lungs been punctured. So when physicians got him on a gurney finally and needed to inspect him, they had to cut this. Look at that suit he's wearing right there. That is that is a custom-made $1,000 suit, which at the time, $1,000 was like, I don't know. Let's see, 1/4 is that is going to be. That's like a $3,000, $4,000 suit. And so they're making the decision to cut it off of him. And he was upset about this. He's like, hey, this is an expensive suit. Don't cut this off of me, which just reinforced his dedication to fiscal responsibility. Now, the FBI was trying to gather all of the things associated with the president because they knew they were going to have to investigate this. They're the FBI, after all. So they're trying to get his suit, they're trying to get his wallet, and a lot of other things. But the military arrived as well, and they were like not letting them have certain things. There was a huge, macho against macho fight over this. One of the reasons was because the president's wallet contained the nuclear launch codes. So they were just a little bit touchy about that sort of thing. Let's see here. Always have an exit plan, says Aku. He also says, I'm surprised that agents don't have some kind of one-hand bulletproof shields for such events. They've got this thing where they like to show that the president is accessible to the people and all that stuff. Hungus Mungus says, I use the MP2 in my service time. Not mine, not bad. What's an MP2, Hungus? Uzi. Are they as unwieldy or inaccurate as I've led to believe? No and no, if you've been trained to use it. It was about this time that Nancy Reagan showed up, and Ron delivered his now famous, honey, I forgot to duck line. And he was cracking a lot of jokes, was Ronald Reagan. In the operating room, just before the operation, they're just about to put him under, he told the doctors, I hope you're all Republicans. And that left them howling in the aisles as Dr. Giordano, one of the chief surgeons, told him, today, Mr. President, we are all Republicans. The quick action of the security team, the secret security team, had saved his life because most 70-year-olds wouldn't have survived that type of a wound. But Ronald Reagan was in very good health for his age, and he got there so quickly, and the doctors there were so good, he was released. And this is a picture of him being the day of his release. Upon his release is right there in that photo. just 12 days later, actually. Only 12 days later. Check him out. Well, yes, well. Now, there was some drama back at headquarters, okay? Mostly from a drama queen by the name of Al Haig, the Secretary of State. Just 6 days before all of this stuff happened, it was determined by the president and his staff that Vice President George Bush would assume control in the event of an emergency. Now, that's not the line of secession. That's two different things there. One's the line of secession when the president is either killed or incapacitated. But the other is who's in charge until that determination is made. And it was determined that Vice President George Bush would assume control if there was an emergency. But Vice President George Bush was back in Texas, his home, for the first time since the inauguration. You have to remember, Ronald Reagan had only been in office a little more than 2 months. And Al Haig immediately said he was in control. And he didn't so much say it as he was a real jerk about it and browbeat people like crazy. He claimed that he had the constitutional power to run the government. Not so much. He was actually number 4 in the line of secession behind the vice president, the Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, and the President pro tem of the Senate, Strom Thurmond. And the thing about it is, that's bad. He didn't know that. Haig kept pounding his fist on the table in these meetings that they were having about that very issue. I am in charge. I am senior. I am in charge. And nobody was saying anything because they're like, well, as soon as the vice president gets here, you're just going to have to shut the hell up because he's in charge. But Haig even kicked Deputy Press Secretary Larry Speakes. If you'll recall, the actual press secretary had just been shot in the head, out of a press conference. Kicked him out of a press conference when he didn't say that Haig was in charge. A reporter asked him, who's in charge of the government right now? And he says, I can't give you the answer to that, because he knew what Al Haig was going to say, but he also knew that wasn't the right answer. So he gave her no answer. Haig immediately kicked him out. He wanted everybody to say, Al's in charge. Al's our guy. He's the one doing it. He said even more stupid things, like way more stupid things than that. But suffice it to say, he looked like a real dumbass. Now let's get back to noted homicidal flake John Hinkley Jr. and get ready, because Rich Boy's trial and his treatment are going to make you very, very, very mad. Okay? They threw him into Quantico, but very shortly thereafter, they moved him into a federal facility in North Carolina. And he tried to do very bad things to himself in May and November of 1981. The government, during his trial, pointed to all the planning and premeditation as evidence that he wasn't insane. But since it was a federal trial, at the time, the preponderance of evidence was on the prosecution to prove his sanity beyond a reasonable doubt. So the prosecution is in the, kind of bad position of going, hey, this guy that just tried to shoot the president, we have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he is sane, that he's all there, so we can charge him. Yeah. The defense expert for Hinkley claimed that John Hinkley's interest in Jodie Foster was no different than any other man's interest in a movie star. Why, it's just the same as any other movie star. That's all they're doing. Even though during her closed testimony, he threw a pen at her. Yeah, he demanded that she come in and testify in front of him. And she said, I'll only do that if there are no people in the audience in the courtroom, and just the attorneys and the judge, and and during her time doing that, he threw a pen at her and he shouted at her constantly to get her attention, and she didn't give him any. She did not look over there. And he had to be surrounded by the bailiffs at one point because he was getting so agitated. Even through all this, the jury deliberated 24 hours over 4 different days, and John Hinkley Jr. was found not guilty by reason of insanity on all 13 of his charges. And to prove he wasn't insane, right after the trial, he wrote that his attempt on the life of the president was, quote, the greatest love offering in the history of the world. That guy said that. Yeah. And he was also disappointed that Jodie Foster didn't return his precious love. So here's another thing. James Brady spent the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Unable to speak, he would have these mood swings. When people would ask him about the shooting, he would get very emotional. He didn't have a great life after that. 33 years after the shooting, James Brady, who had health problems for those 33 years all the time, finally died. And it was determined medically that he died as a result of what Hinkley had done. But guess what? Hinkley couldn't be charged with that murder because he had already been declared not guilty by reason of insanity. So he gets off, rich boy gets off scot-free yet again. So they hold him for being insane. And the tests that he had done upon his admission to the institution showed that he was unpredictably dangerous. You think? Do you think so? It's just 2 years after his conviction, in 1983, he gets to do an interview in Penthouse magazine. How? I don't know. Rich boy, I guess. And he said that this was his usual day. He spent the day seeing a therapist, answering mail, playing guitar, listening to music, playing pool, watching television, eating lousy food, and taking delicious medications. Yeah, it sounds like he's really being punished for... He started trying for unsupervised releases from the institution as early as 1987, which is just like 6 years or so after he did this. One of his evaluators, I don't know who is evaluating this Fruit Loop in this place, claimed that he wasn't going to hurt himself and he was no danger to Jodie Foster, President Reagan, or James Brady. Oh, then it was revealed that he had been writing to Ted Bundy and he wanted Charles Manson's address. And he had gotten a letter from Squeaky Fromm. Squeaky Fromm, of course, and we'll be covering her, tried to assassinate Gerald Ford and was a prominent member of the Manson family. So this guy's going, he's no danger to anybody. No, he's just writing Ted Bundy. He wants Manson's address, and he got a letter from Squeaky Fromm. That particular request was withdrawn. They just went, nope, we're not going to, no, that's not a request anymore. We know that sounds crazy pants, so we're not going to do anything about that. But the institution still allowed him out of the facility for trips with minor custodial supervision. In 2003, judges approved his request for 6-day visits with his parents as supervisors. Because his parents were just such star parents and did such a great job with him while he was planning all this, while they were funding his stalking of Jodie Foster. Yeah, did let the parents supervise him. And 2 overnight visits as well. The next year, 2004, a judge approved 10-day visits, unsupervised. Well, as long as it's just one 10-day, but no, a dozen 10-day visits. Think about it. A year has 365 days. He's getting 120 days unsupervised. That's a third of the year. Okay. He did have to have a GPS phone, though, for tracking purposes, because who ever got rid of a phone? Ever. In 2011, on the day before the 30th anniversary of his attempt on the president's life, his attorney filed a petition asking for more freedom. And on July 27th, 2016, he was released from the institution for good. Patty Davis, Ronald Reagan's daughter, and Donald Trump both went mental over this at the time. He did have some conditions. He had to work 3 days a week, live full-time at his mom's house, and record his browser history. But 2 years later, he got to move out of his mom's house in 2018. So he is now free and clear. And he's got a YouTube channel with his exceptionally crappy songs and covers of other songs. And this will kill you, folks. I mean, I know I'm not popular, but he's got 40,000 subscribers as of just this past September. He's also taken to selling paintings of his cat. Yeah. Just this month, December of 2024, he announced plans to open up a music store. Hey, but guess what? Negative publicity, let's say, shot down that idea. He apparently gets threats once in a while that prevent him from physically performing in front of an audience, which, if you've heard his songs, is not the greatest tragedy of all time. So John Hinkley Jr., John Warnock Hinkley Jr. is out. He has absolutely no legal restrictions. He is, in the eyes of the law, completely done. And he's living a life. I don't know if his mother is still alive, but his parents owned an oil company. I'm pretty sure he's got a few dollars coming his way eventually. So there you go. That's pretty much all I can tell you about the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. So there you go. Let me get rid of this thing that I wrote here. And what else we got? Aku was saying, I was thinking of bulletproof glass about the size of a dinner plate. I don't know how much good that would do or wouldn't do. I know that the United States Secret Service has probably investigated a variety of ways to protect the President of the United States as he goes about his duties, but we as Americans like to see our president in the open, walking in a safe space. So, comes with the territory. I'm sure if you wrote them, they would take your dinner plate idea under advisement. Depends if you take a longer barrel, get more accurate. Aku says, we aren't able to have fun things like that. Or for you, I don't know. I have a clue as to what that sentence means. Mit langen Lauf ist die Waffe Preise. I don't know about that. Where are you from, Aku? What a simp. He was a simp. Ich wusste nicht, dass es solche Optionen gibt. Yeah. Canada. I smell MK Ultra. I don't. It's just a Fruit Loop. I've forgotten so much of my German. But you can't have hunting rifles in Canada. Some, they keep banning them. Well, what are you going to do? Why don't we open up these phone lines just briefly? See if anybody calls in. Let's get these phone lines open. And then, yeah. 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 The phone lines are opening right now, kids. Speaking of kids, there's been no more noise since I went outside. Coincidence? I don't think so. I'm sorry, but at a certain point, you just go, look, I'm done taking crap. I'm just done. I am done. You're polite, you're this, you're that. It doesn't do any good. So it's time to not be polite. And I don't care. You get the same amount of respect back from me as I get from you. The exact same amount. Come on, phone lines. Open up. Not that that's going to really do anything. Not that that will solve any problems on a larger scale. But tomorrow, we will be having a members-only program. It'll be a real corker. Trust me. I think we'll be playing a lot of my interviews with pro wrestler and manager, Handsome Johnny Starr. Good friend of mine, as a matter of fact. Dated his sister-in-law. Well, dated's probably a fancy word, if you know what I mean. All right, phone lines are open, 972-994-6822. I could call the Wolf, I suppose. I've only got 15 minutes to kill here, and then we've got an official show. Let's see here. Mean you turn out the microphone. I wanted to hear you yell. I didn't yell. I just said, guys, the yelling and screaming's got to stop. People are trying to relax. It's Friday night. It's the holidays. They want to watch a movie. They want to have a quiet dinner, whatever. It's not that you can't make any noise, but you just can't scream and yell. You know? Somebody else was out there. And it was just, I don't know. Alka says, can I ask about the attempt on Reagan when he visited the Canadian government? I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about that. We didn't get that story down here. Probably wasn't any big deal. You can ask about it. Some of these things, though, you know, as I start to Google them, I think, am I the only person in the world with Google? I don't think I am. Don't think I am. I really don't. Yeah. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff, and it's just, all of it is just, none of it is, yeah. I'll try again. Boom. Missing Canada. Man, I tell you what, this just might be it. Let's see here. And that's okay. I'll do all this. You just sit there on your dead lazy ass and let me do all the work. It's okay. You're just a viewer, for crying out loud. Why would you, why would you do anything to look it up? MK Ultra was big in Canada. Hungus Mungus. All right, whatever. I can't find anything on it, so who knows? It's just another, just another big giant dud. I don't know, Aku. This is really starting to become not the show for you. Really, really is. Hungus says, I'm on my phone. I can't help. You don't have to help. You don't have to help. I thought it would have been a related footnote. Well, you know, if you had looked it up, you would have. I know you're on a data plan. Like nobody else in the world is. Jesus. Just never stops. Never, ever stops. I doubt this has even ever occurred. You know, everybody from Canada thinks, you know, Canada is the place the whole world revolves around, and it doesn't. I'm sorry. I've never heard anything about it ever in my life. So, but I'm just a former news anchor. Why would I know anything about that? Yeah. There's absolutely nothing about it. If you can find something, great. And then also consider nobody cares about Canada. That might affect what we talk about on the show. Even if there was something, we probably would choose to ignore it completely. Sorry. Just kind of the way that, you know, that it would go. I don't know. Is there a thing where I don't block you or anything like that, but just your comments don't show? Because it's getting to be, Jesus. Imagine every once in a while, just every once in a while, that you're doing a show and somebody's just throwing out aberrant, unfindable information, and they don't want to do anything at all to find it themselves. See, because if you had said, well, on September the 13th, 1984, while visiting Canada, that might be interesting. But did the thing happen ever? That's not really great. So now I have to just stop paying attention to you, I guess. It's the solution to that problem. That's the solution to that problem. Yeah, let's just go ahead and block that person. Yeah, we just block them. Sorry, I'm blocking somebody that was trying to contact me through the phone thing. Let's see here. Tell the balloon story, says Hungus Mungus. What balloon story? You know, it is Friday night, and we are getting toward the end of the show. I'm thinking it's time to just shut this down. I think you guys have had enough fun, probably, for the evening. I know I have. And you guys can get back to, I don't know what. I really don't. I super don't. So, anyway, I will... yeah, you know, we're doing a members-only show tomorrow. I don't know what time. I would assume it's around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know who this is. It says Gully Man. Yeah. Thank you for whatever that means. When the balloon pop and Reagan just say missed. As I was saying, we're going to another place, and some of you might not make it. Members only. I love their jackets. there's a long-held internet, let's just say hierarchy. It's almost like a logic tree, but it really isn't. It's really just three things to ask yourself before you post anything. And the three things are, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me here and now? So, yeah, you might, before the dad jokes, Killdeer says, you know me, I used to work on the Lub and Abner show. Well, if you did, that's a show that's never existed. I think you may be thinking of the Lum and Abner show. Gully Man is a hilarious reference to radio legend Greg Opie Hughes' catchphrase, Brother Man. Oh, well, thank you for explaining all that. A lot of times if you have to do that much explanation, you know. 972-994-6822, going once, going twice. Pretty close to three times here. Pretty close to three times, Chachi. Killdeer, I don't think we've ever seen you here before. However, just so that you get familiar with the place, just really dumb comments, or, hey, everybody, look at me. Daddy, daddy, I'm about to go down the curly slide, that thing. Yeah, that probably will result in, you know, not all that great of stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you went somewhere else and found another show. You do, you know. You really do know. I know you know. It can't be the first time. It can't be the first time. So just something to consider, really, as time goes along. It's almost like you can't pick your audience. That is so not the truth. Let me give you an example. I can't go out and select members of society to be in my audience. That much is true. But as far as tailoring my audience, I can do things like, I would just ban you and delete your comments. And then if you come back with additionally silly stuff, then I would just ban you again. So I guess we're both right. The only difference is I'm still here on the show and you, you're not. Let's see. Hunga says, very funny audio. Just absolutely. There's no reference to what audio that is. None of that really. It's just. Hey, Aku, if you're about to present me with a joke somebody told and not an actual assassination or anything else, I would just say, I would really caution you to just give it up for the evening. Just give it up. I'm begging you to do that for your own sake. Okay? We've got a little while left here at 972-994-6822 until we shut this baby down for another however long. PCL fan says, everyone stop using chat. Oh, you can use chat. You just can't be an idiot. And you can't really have, that's an unattractive avatar. So here, I'll put you in timeout and then, If you can get that changed, then maybe. I'm not guaranteeing you anything, but maybe, just maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I think some people kind of overestimate their importance. And see, I don't mind really good subscribers. Those are awesome. But just garden variety stupid ones, I can do without those. Just, really? I really can. It's an amazing skill that I have. It's it's been done over a long period of time and whatnot. So it's a thing, really. I'm sorry if I don't run my show the way you'd like me to. Makes me feel bad inside. I don't do things the way that you would like them done. 972-994-6822. I'm going to leave that baby open for about 5 minutes, and then we're out of here. Until our member show tomorrow at 3 Eastern. Members only, members only. Only if you're a member. If you're not a member, you can't watch it. Sorry. I'm very, very sorry. Now, if you are a member, you can watch the heck out of it. And mostly listen, because we'll be playing classic audio that you won't hear anywhere else. From back in the vaults, way back in the vaults. 4 minutes. And then we're out of there. How could you get that into Jodie Foster? I really, she used to like walk out of interviews if people talked to her about it. I think she only spoke about it 4 times. There was an interview she did right after it happened. There was an op-ed that she wrote. There was one other interview, and then she did a thing with Mark Maron and talked about it, which is much more recently than the others. But she would get up and leave if somebody mentioned it at all, just later. And by the way, she was only 18 when all this happened. So it was kind of like, oh my God, that would make you weird about fan letters and things like that for the rest of time. Scott LaRock says, that's funny. Thank you. Thank you. Aku continues on his campaign to, I guess, be doing something else this time of night. I guess. 3 minutes. And then tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. I've been on the road. I had to go to the other side I had to go to Fort Worth today. I got a guest in town. I barely got back here in time to do the show. I got kids screaming and yelling that were screaming and yelling last night. I was nice yesterday too. I originally thought one of them had broken an arm or something. It's that screaming and screaming and screaming. So I went outside and another neighbor was out there, and I go, is this bugging you? He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, well, we need to say something because, hey, could you guys just quiet it down? The time for all that crap was earlier in the day. Let's see here. I liked her in Silence of the Lambs. Taxi Driver wasn't bad, dude. Oh, she's been good in a lot of stuff. She's an outstanding actor and director. She directed that Beaver movie with Mel Gibson, the beaver, I think. Was it the badger or whatever it was? I don't know. Which is a disturbing, almost uncomfortably, but it's good. It's good, but you're just, boy, is there really, yeah, well, So if you haven't seen that, there's my review of it. I don't know. That's my review. Jessica Branderson says it was a beaver. Well, I know that, no, it had to be a beaver because Ricky Gervais said, like most of the guys in here, I haven't seen Jodie Foster's Beaver, but I've heard it's nice, it's good or whatever, which is very funny. And they have the camera on her while he's doing that, and she's laughing and giving him a thumbs up. So she's got a good sense of humor. And by the way, Jodie Foster back in the day, was like on she was the kid on every TV show, episodic television as a guest star. And I'm going to tell you about that right now because I'm kind of into that kind of thing. She's got 2 Academy Awards, 3 BAFTAs, it's the British Academy Awards, 3 Golden Globes, and a Primetime Emmy Award. Well, yes. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. She's only 5'3". Just a little thing. Just a little tiny thing. Let's see what I can do here as far as... come on. Oh, here we go. Jodie Foster filmography. Boom, shakalaka. Oh, here we go. Television. Check out her television credits. Yeah, okay. Her television credits, they start in 1968. Mayberry RFD, The Doris Day Show, The Courtship of Eddie Father, Gunsmoke, Daniel Boone, Adam 12, Nanny and the Professor. This is just up to 1970. My Three Sons, Bonanza, The Paul Lynde Show, The New Scooby-Doo, My Sister Hank, The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan, Ironside, Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, Alexander, The Partridge Family, Love Story, Kung Fu. Now we're up to 1973. The New Perry Mason, The Addams Family, Paper Moon, Medical Center, Frasier, only a voice, X-Files, only a voice. But so up to Medical Center, that's just up to 1975. We're talking to 5 to 7 years, right? You know what I'm saying? Right? Right? You know, love it when people say right. And so in 1972, she started acting in films, and she was in Kansas City Bomber, Tom Sawyer, One Little Indian, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, Taxi Driver. She played Iris Steensma. Bugsy Malone, which is a very underrated movie. She played Tallulah. The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Oh, my God. That is a very, very, very scary, creepy movie. Freaky Friday, which is a comedy. Candle Shoe Foxes, whatever. Hotel New Hampshire. Others of note. Let's see. It was a beaver. Read her IMDb page to me. Why would I do that when I can just read from the filmography on Wikipedia? Aku says, I wonder what % of the media at the time she was in. This is why you think somebody's French Canadian, because their English is so terrible. Jessica, why don't you read the IMDb page? Your dead lazy ass won't. Because I read some of it, but I edited my choices to only the most popular, you know? I know I have to read it to you because you're not a strong reader. You're not a strong reader. How sad for you. How very, very sad for you. Anyway. All right. I think that's going to do it. We'll just close down the old phone lines. Unless I want to call somebody. I guess I could call somebody. I really want to call somebody. I got to call. This is my, obviously my Skype number that I never use other than for this show. And I get like inbound calls all the time. Usually it's from financial companies like options trading. What was the one I just trashed? It was like Gold Strike Trading Company. What's this one here? I'm Cloris Brown from Shopify. Shopify is a Canadian multinational e-commerce company headquartered in Ottawa. We have a Skype online opportunity. Our role is to help drive sales of fashion items on our website and improve overall advertising performance. This job will take approximately 30 minutes to 1 hour of your time per day. Your daily commission income will be between $90 and $150. And once you reach your goals, you will apply for a monthly salary between $1,527. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, does that go over? Do people do that? Does that actually work? So anyway, like I was saying, Jodie Foster was the go-to kid. She was the kid in every show. The girl that got lost and fell down the well or moved into the neighborhood and started stealing clothes off the line. Whatever the plot required. All right, kids, members only show. 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Eastern Time. And with all that being said, till next time. Whoops, let me close this first. Until next time. Sorry, that old clock on the wall, it says that, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Only thing left to say is, till next time. Well, oh, wait. Hey, look, it says we watched the show. We were working on the Naval Observatory that day. What show are you talking about, Jim? And Jim, you know what happens when somebody tells me that somebody's been crap talking me on other shows around the internet? Somebody that I really, really trust. That's what happens, Jim. That's what happens. You have a nice life. Let's see. Hungus Mungus says, by the way, thank you for teaching me English, Tom. Anytime, Hungus. Thank you for helping me with my Deutsche. Till next time. We'll see you next time. My stars above.